Okay. I'm gonna use this as the background right now because I feel like it's appropriate. I'm gonna play a little video. Where's my phone at? From the Humanist Report. Oops, not yet. People, and I know it's because the algorithm is feeding them this, and it's constant doom scrolling with. I don't know how to explain it exactly. It's manipulating you to being inactive because they want you drained, they want you to stop. I want to quit, but we can't quit because people are disappearing, people are dying. We don't have a choice but to fight this fight. Not fighting, you have chosen death. And I know that's part of the theme that you're about to hear. You cannot stop fighting. You cannot just give up. Look, you were brought up in an age of corporations. I mean, there's always been giant entities that controlled vast, we used to call them lords and, churches, priests, where they had a lot of power, a lot of money, and they took advantage of the working class and the poor. So this has always been a thing, but we had gotten better, all the way going back to the 1950s through 1990s, where we started, with the women's rights march, the equal rights, the civil rights is what I meant to say. The just a lot of different things that we recently just lost, and I know there's a lot of doom and gloom right now, and it makes a lot of sense. I know, I hear you. Believe me, I'm paying attention. But use that energy to show the politicians your tired energy. Go to these town halls, go to these protests, do any interview that anyone has a cell phone with. Spread your word around. You have a cell phone, people beside you have a cell phone. Record your frustration and explain detail what your problems are. We all need to gather together and fight the algorithm that's feeding you the doom and gloom and making you have less energy to just flop and just let things happen as they do. Everything is not set in stone. I used to be a religious type. I still kind of am, but it's more of because I don't know what's out there and I see the universe and it's so vast and, horrifically beautiful. Because there's a lot of unknowns and I want to be able to study all that. There's a lot of things on Earth that we don't understand yet, but there is a lot that we do. And there's a lot of fixing that it needs to get done, and we can't give up on that fight. There are answers to every single problem that we have. There is not a food shortage. There is a what's it called? That chemical, I forgot. The thing that makes how the plants grow, fertilizer. There it is. There is a problem with fertilizer because of fuel shortage and all of that. We see the problem, we need to fix it. You have been brought up in a corporate world, but corporations started out with nothing. It was a person that happened to make it. I mean, going back to the Xbox guy who I think he made a computer in his garage. Bill Gates. Let me see. Hold on. Let's look this up real quick. I did look it up. It's not true. He was in the upper class. He was rich. So I was wrong on that point. Bill Gates was already decently wealthy before. Wrong on this example. From what I can tell, Bill Gates went to Harvard, which means he was already kind of rich. Let me see. I know there's a couple of celebrities. I'm trying to remember their names. There's a new one that's coming out, the noir Spider-Man. Forgot his name. Uh, but he started off dirt poor. Or Robert Downey Jr., who was in acting, but he had a lot of debt because he was in a lot of drugs and did a lot of bad stuff to his life. But they are not this glamorous person at the start. The companies started off small. That's what you need to do. Like we're all used to the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. Invent another console. Do another console. Get smart. I mean, I know that's hard to say because it runs into the argument of learn to program. But I'm saying is try to invent something that the world needs right now. We need competition. We need a startup. And it doesn't have to be a corporate world. Your money needs to circulate with the neighbors around you. Start paying each other, for different items and stuff. We do have to rewind the clock back a little bit to around where we would bargain with people and have local shopping stuff. Like for me, if it came down to it, with this whole offline thing, I have hundreds of games ready to play and hundreds of movies and TV shows. If we need to, I could go around the neighbor and say, hey, for let's say $5, you can come in, play games with me, or watch a movie of your choice because I have tons downloaded. And if you need entertainment, I'm your cheap entertainment. And with the little money that I'm getting, I can turn it into, when I go back online, if, the war doesn't do it or, some sort of space anomaly and all that. Turn around, buy more stuff, and since it would be a neighborhood thing, it can be a neighborhood movie or show or, a game that everyone can enjoy playing because I have a lot of split screen play too. Like that's just something I can do because I am just here. 20. And another thing I can add, another thought that I thought of is people still need stuff delivered. Why don't you do a neighborhood delivery make your own newspaper, go buy a printer, buy some printing paper, and make your own newspaper, make your own comics, bring back where you used to have those a person was paid to make a comic strip on the paper. Work with each other to make something happen to keep your neighborhood informed, because the algorithm, unless you know how to trick it, or not trick it, but make it to where you get the most accurate information possible, you need to inform your neighborhood. You can say, hey, like every week, if you give me a couple of bucks, I'll deliver you a newspaper that I created, and then if you like it, we have higher tier stuff. You can pay $5, $7, and you can get more information and stuff like that. Work with each other, make it reasonable, and make a little startup. 24/7. So if I need to do stuff like that to help raise a little bit of funds, you can. Or figure out how to cook something that's foreign, that isn't normal here, and do some cooking and raise funds that way. of course, look around for your supplier. Figure out how to grow stuff, and we have to be independent. So there are different things that we can do to make our own little business, make our own little slice of life living. It doesn't have to be like my brother is a very talented musician. He's learning a lot about music. He can teach his own students for cheap, make his own money. Which actually, that's a great idea. I should talk to him about that because he wants to go to college, which is a horrible idea right now. But I can't dissuade him to not do that. But there's things you can do to make a little money. I mean, I've seen people from before.
And another thing I need to bring up: it's not just about making money. Build up favors, so that way you can give an IOU later, and they can pay in some other way. Like recently, my mother did taxes for a neighbor, and we got a free entire cake for free, which is cool. Some little stuff like that. It doesn't have to be always. What's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have to always be monetarily. I know we're all suffering in money right now, but this is where we need to start talking about if someone's getting evicted, like the neighborhood needs to come together and block that eviction. Pay attention to how your neighbors are suffering and stuff like that. Because our government is not working for us, and they are just taking everything, and so are the corporations. They're going in tandem at the moment. We need to fight all of this, and the way that we fight it is by hurting their wallets. We're already doing national boycotts and not working certain days and stuff like that. That needs to continue, and it needs to get more intense, because it's not working right now. So we're in a fight.
Or Trump and all this shit. There were people making money off of tutorials on how to play games.
Yes.
You could hire them on Fiverr, and they will teach you how to play games for like $25 up to, if they consider themselves a professional, they will raise their own prices. But there's a business for everything that you can think of. And if I was in charge of government, there is no reason why there's a single person that should be jobless and homeless. Because there are not only a ton of rooms that are not being used, like in New York, there's a ton of rich people assholes that just buy assets and don't touch it. There's towers that are empty. There's hotel rooms that are empty constantly. And there's a lot of fixing on earth that we need to do. There is no reason why there should be joblessness existing, because there's a lot of work to be done. I'm gonna put a lot of good videos down below on what people are doing. Like, there are people that are fixing the streets for the city. There's a lot you can do that you haven't thought of. So let's get to the video. I talked enough. And then, so this will be just audio, of course. I will post the link below the full video so you can watch it for yourself.
In their 30s, just woken up one day and realized that this was not the life that they were meant to live. I don't have my will to live anymore.
Being alive is expensive, and I feel like I'm finding myself questioning often, what is the point of being alive if I can't afford to live?
And what if I said that my soul is tired and I no longer want to participate?
I feel broken. Like, I feel like I've lost all motive.
And I feel like I'm finding myself questioning often, what is the point of being alive if I can't afford to live?
And what if I said that my soul is tired and I no longer want to participate?
I feel broken. Like I feel like I've lost all motivation to live and to try to achieve things because I really don't feel like it matters. And I feel like all of this is a filthy scheme and trick.
I feel lonely as fuck because all I have the energy to do is go to work and go home and go to bed.
I've only been alive for less than 3 decades, and I've already lost almost all will to live and passion and drive.
I want to know what the light at the end of the tunnel is, other than maybe a measly 7 days of PTO.
I don't blame American young workers who are quitting because what are we even working for? We can't afford families. Are we just working to bomb Middle East better? Pay for Elon Musk's child support? Make Jeff Bezos' wife's face slightly more frozen?
You just heard from several young Americans who are open about the fact that late-stage capitalism has completely stripped them of their will to live. And I just find it so sad that you can even sense how all of the energy and life force has been sucked out of them, because slaving away for a corporation has basically become the totality of their existence, and it's very clearly taking a toll on them. There's no time for friends or hobbies, and when you finally do have days off, you're too tired to do anything because you've been working so hard, and even though you spend most of your waking days working, you're still only barely able to just get by if you're lucky. It's a rough life to live, and after a certain amount of time, human beings begin to break down under this ruthless, monotonous system because we're not supposed to be living like this. We're more than just cogs in a machine, but when we're treated as nothing more than a means to an end for rich people, only to be discarded when our usefulness is up, it really starts to get to you. Some people internalize it and they question whether or not something's wrong with them, or if they're doing something wrong, or if they're responsible for their own suffering. Others, they know that it's not their fault, but they still feel hopeless because what can they do about it? Now, the thing that's so sad about the people that we heard from in particular is that they're all so young. I mean, this is not something I would wish on anyone, regardless of their age, but they're so young, they're in the primes of their lives, and they should be enjoying their lives. But they can't, because the system that was forced on them before they were born requires them to be as productive as possible at all times so they can survive, even though they're never ever going to see the fruits of their labor. And there's a difference between working to live and living to work. And it's gotten to the point where people really are just living to work. And if their bodies end up breaking down at some point from all of this work that they're doing, it's easier for corporations to just replace them with different low-wage workers, which is why they don't bother to invest in their employees' health and offer them health insurance, because corporations realize that turnover is actually better for them, because fostering loyalty with long-term employees is actually less cost efficient. Employees with seniority, they're eventually going to expect to climb the corporate ladder and ask for a raise if they've been with the company for long enough, whereas new workers, they're just going to be happy to have a job at all after they've been searching for months. So when you have a system that treats human beings like they're disposable, it's no wonder why so many people feel completely hopeless. And I want to play some extended portions of those videos that you saw, of some of them at least. And even though they're heartbreaking, I think that these stories are important because it's important to keep in mind, these are no longer exceptions. These stories are the norm.
I go to 2 out of my 3 jobs today, not today, but this weekend. I work overnight today, and then tomorrow morning I'll come home, get a couple hours of sleep. I'll go to one of my jobs, and then once I clock out of that job, I'll be going straight to another overnight shift. And like, I hardly want to go because it's like so clear that like I can't even obviously like cover my fucking necessities, and I just
The annoying part is that I did everything right. I did everything I was supposed to do. I studied in high school. I got good grades. I had a decent ACT. I filled out the little FAFSA form so I could go to a good college. I went to a good college. When I got into that good college, I got a degree, a useful degree that I knew would benefit me in the long run. I got a degree in business, finance specifically. Businesses are always needing that. I can't go wrong with that. Well, now it's 2026, and I met with the job market that even if there are openings, they're probably not legitimate. They're ghost postings. And if you do want to apply to it, guess what? Everybody and their brother also applied to it. So you better make sure you have an ATS optimized resume, you know the CEO's brother, you've done a handshake with the Crossroads demons, and you pray to the almighty God that you can even get a call back or so much as a rejection email, because half the time you don't even get that. Then let's say that you're lucky enough to actually get that job. Well, the odds of you actually being able to keep that job, not very likely, because companies are inevitably going to lay you off because they're going to realize that AI can take your job, or they're going to send your position overseas and pay them about a third of what they have to pay you. What they do pay you is absolute peanuts for the degree and experience that you have. Afford houses, we can't afford gas to put in our car, inflation is ever rising, interest rates are rising, we have an administration that doesn't give a fuck about us. The American dream is fucking dead. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no amount of hard work that is going to reverse what the last 10 years of this fucking economy has done. I am a hard worker. I'm one of the hardest workers you will ever meet. I will work my absolute dick into the dirt. I have a full-time corporate job. I do pet sitting on the side, and I also have my own business where I do photography, videography, and media. Guess what? It's still not enough. It's never gonna fucking be enough. I'm just so sick. I'm so burnt out, and I don't know what the long-term solution is, because the thought of having to do this for the next 40 years,
watching the way that like our world leaders and the economy and generational wealth being hoarded by the top 10%, like what if I say that I don't want to take part in a system that is ultimately not like for humanity?
So devastating stories all around, yet relatable, because we've all been in that position or are still in that position, and it just sucks. You feel like there's nothing you can do. You feel like you're trapped. And I think that that last comment is a thought that we've all had. Like, what if we just quit, even though we know that we can? Because this capitalist system was imposed on us without our consent. And the problem is that there's no way to check out of this system if we actually want to survive. So we're locked in, and we're forced to swim as hard and as fast as we can if we don't want to drown. And even if you do what you're supposed to do, you know, you go to college, you get good grades in school so you can get some scholarships, you try to find work that is tailored to your degree. Even if you don't have a degree but you went for a trade, or you're just a good worker, it doesn't matter. Nobody is going to come to into the system without getting chewed up and spit back out. And even though as individuals we have to subject ourselves to perpetual exploitation basically to survive, having this system is indeed a choice. And I think that that is an important thing to say. The powers that be have decided that pure unadulterated
Sorry about that. That was my nurse. But you get the gist. I don't want to play his entire video. Yeah, I understand. I know. And right now, especially in southern states, you've lost a lot of rights recently, and it's not good. We do have the strength to fight it, and you do have the energy, but your emotion is draining it. There are ways to get out of this. We've lost our self-efficiency, our survival instincts, because corporations have taken that ability away. If you know the movie WALL-E, it's the perfect representation of what just happened. And actually, I didn't realize how perfect that analogy is. The AI has decided that humanity isn't ready for Earth, so they are taking care of the humans, but they have gotten lazy and not realizing that the Earth is fixable now. It is fixable. We cannot give up. It is not the end times. It is not over yet. There is still a chance to fight all of this. It's gonna suck on the way, though. And if you say, well, I don't want it to suck anymore, I want to give up, I can't talk you out of it. All I can do is say that there are answers to everything. Like right now, with going back to my fight with the Denuvo, I'm still trying to figure out arguments for, and the PlayStation, which that's the enemy I was waiting to fight, but they backtracked and backed down from that. Again, we'll see. Not over with the explanation, with the investigation, but I know where my fight is. I'm disabled, I'm bedridden, and I have a lot of problems that prevent me from going out there, and I feel the frustrations. I have hit holes in my walls. I have, you know, had my angry spurts. It's tough, but when I get over it, I come back and I talk about politics. I listen to the news and I try to relay that information out to where I am a perfect representation of me is I am a human algorithm. I will look at the information and I will attempt to show you what is important at the moment. I do have a ton of resources that I use. My three main ones that I trust is Secular Talk, Dylan Burns, and Bella the Ranch. Those three I will always watch because they have a lot of survival stuff, they have a lot of ideas, and it's more aligned to my way of thinking where I do the research, I investigate, what's the proper word? I do the long-term format of looking for information is the best way. It's not, I didn't know how exactly how to explain that, but like I listen to podcasts and I don't just play games and listen to it. I make sure I listen to every word to make sure that there's not contradictions. That if there's information where that sounds outlandish, I go look it up. I mentally check myself to make sure that I'm paying attention. And if I lose my attention span and I look at the phone and I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about, I rewind it to make sure I get the details correct. There's going to be times where I have listened to people and they're just so dull in relaying their information, or if it's too fast paced and it's like ADHD inducing, then I click off the video and I say that information's not for me. I don't watch it at 2x speed. I watch it normal speed and I watch the full length, listen to the full length. That's how I get informed. I pay attention to what people said. And it's helped me in my writing. I do make mistakes still in my writing, but that's because I'm not actually writing it. If I was writing it, I would see those mistakes, but text format. But don't give up. I'm asking you to not give up. Don't commit suicide because we need you. We need you in this fight. Don't just surrender and wait for the starvation to hit you or wait until you can't pay the electricity and you're getting kicked out. Don't wait for that. There are answers. Like with the lady, the photographer. Don't just use a camera because you can do one of two things. Don't just take a photograph of real life. If you actually care about, the art, maybe take video game pictures. Become a professional video game picture too, or do tutorials on how to take photographs, how to capture the best moment. There's all kinds of things that you can do with the photography. I mean, shit. Become a photograph for journalism. Go do the protests, and all you're doing is taking pictures of key moments of history. And you can license your photos to the news or whoever you want to talk to, and get paid that way. And don't make it expensive, of course, because I know there's people that like, hey, I got this cool video or photo. Give me like $600, maybe. You're trying to look for indie people who report on news, and make a system with them, like, hey, give me like $75, I got a bunch of photos about the the protests that you're talking about, so let's work something out. Or just think of ways that your photography can be expanded upon. Don't just take outside photos and be like, look how beautiful this looks. You got to do something else. You got to add a certain something to it.